What's going on, gardeners? Today I'm going to share with you the 4 most common mistakes that many raised bed gardeners or even regular gardeners make about the raised beds. So the first thing is amending with actual fertilizers. You do not want to amend with actual fertilizers such as blood meal, bone meal, any sort of balanced organic. That is not the time to do it in winter. You do not want to do that because microbial activity slows way down to the point you're just scattering fertilizer onto your raised bed with absolutely no effect. The second mistake is actually not amending with compost or good soil. This is the one thing you do want to amend with in the winter or fall time, is to add a nice thick layer of something like a soil conditioner like this one here that I really like, not sponsored or anything. Or you can also use some good potting soil that you've refreshed. That is also another important point because that will also help insulate any microbial activity that was below, and also as the season goes on your soil level does sink down. A tip 2.5 is you want to cover. So use anything you have like a fence board, some plastic tarps, plastic bags, etc. Just go ahead and cover, because anything that you do put away, put onto your raised bed, you want to make sure you cover, even if it's a hoop structure. If you have one of those, then go ahead, and you don't need to use any tarps or anything to hold any of your mulch down, which leads us into tip number 3: not mulching in winter. This is so important if you're especially if you're not growing a like a winter garden. If you're not growing a fall garden, winter garden, be sure to insulate at least with a 2-inch layer of leaves. You want to use at least a 2-inch layer of leaves, or grass clippings, even wood chips, shredded hardwood, any sort of mulch. Even just putting a plastic tarp on top of your soil is better than nothing. So please, that is the most important thing: mulch with leaves especially, or grass clippings as a second best. Anything works though. Do not mulch with black walnut leaves, because those do include growth inhibitors. So do not. If you have a black walnut tree, that is the one thing you can keep in mind. Tip number 4 is not documenting what is going on in your garden, whether it's in your raised beds or in things like your flower beds as well. You want to make sure you do that even throughout winter. As you can see, calculate how much rain or snow, precipitation you've gotten. As you can see there, I've gotten about 1.25 inches in the last 3-4 days. So doing small things like that, seeing what has worked, what has not worked, what you plan on putting in and not putting in, it goes a very long way. And kind of a bonus tip that I'm not doing, unfortunately, is not growing a fall or winter garden. You can grow a winter garden especially in warmer climates, like if you're in the south, or like on the coastal lines on the west of the United States, but especially not growing a fall garden. I wasn't able to get it in time. I tried growing some seedlings, but they all failed, so I'm going to try again next year and see. But that is kind of a bonus tip, kind of like tip number 5, not growing a fall winter garden, because you get tired of seeing no leaves. You get tired of seeing clouds, nothing growing in your soil, so in your garden even. So that's just some quick tips that I want to share with you about the most common raised bed mistakes. So I encourage you to check out my channel and subscribe, especially about my video on journaling. So I did make a video on that, and also a bunch more on the raised bed tips and so on. So until I see you in the next video, happy gardening.